Hey guys, what's going on? It's KD from Socratic K9. I got another Q&A for you. This question comes from Kristen, and she asked it in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in. Kristen, thank you for asking. And the reason why I'm thanking you is because I have a lot of respect for those who acknowledge that they need some help and they have the courage to ask for it. Now, Kristen's question is really appropriate for a lot of dog owners because the challenge that she's experiencing is shared by many of you out there. So let's get to the question. Kristen asks, my Ellie chews up everything, like destroys everything. My table, my chairs, pulls on the carpet. She also goes to a dog park and runs twice a day. She has bones and toys. She's only 7 months old, so I'm hoping this will pass soon. Any suggestions on anything I can do to help with this? Yes, I do have some suggestions. Now we're going to talk about two things. The first one, some answers and guidance on the question that you were seeking an answer for. And two, something else that you're probably unaware of that you need guidance on, but lucky for you, you're going to get it. So when we're talking about chewing and destruction, especially with a 7-month-old, I like to focus on the first pillar in my 3-pillar system of dog ownership, which is management. Management is how we live with, how we care for a dog, especially a dog who isn't completely trained or doesn't know everything that we hope they will know as they get older. This particularly applies to puppies and dogs that we adopt that are new in our home. The first thing we have to realize is that the dog doesn't understand what you want from them and what you don't want from them. So we have to make sure we've created a daily routine in an environment that doesn't set them up to fail. Now, if the dog is chewing on furniture, what that means is you're giving that dog freedom it hasn't earned yet. The dog doesn't understand what it's not supposed to do. So when you leave the dog loose, unattended, well, they're gonna make mistakes. To them, it's not a mistake though, because they haven't been taught not to do it. They've been given freedom that they can't handle, and they have instincts because they're a dog, and a dog is an animal. Chewing is one of those instincts. When we let them free like that, well, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. So the first thing is, understand, you can't allow that dog to be loose and unsupervised. The dog should only be loose when under your direct supervision and while engaging with you. If they're engaged with you, they're not going to go off and do other stuff. So that makes me wonder, are you using any type of confinement? Confinement is completely appropriate for a dog, especially when they don't understand the rules of the home yet. We don't want to set them up to fail. We don't want to give them freedom that they can't handle. Not just for training purposes, but for safety. There's a reason why we put a baby in a playpen so they don't run off and stick their finger in an electric socket or get into trouble. Same thing with the dog. So are you using a crate? Are you using an X-pen, the little pens you can set up to keep the dog in when you're not directly watching them, like maybe you gotta go to the bathroom or make a sandwich or take a phone call. Those are times the dog shouldn't be left loose. You know, you mentioned bones and toys. A common problem that people have is the dog doesn't understand what it can chew on and what it can't chew on. The reason why is oftentimes people think the more toys the better. No, that's actually the worst thing you can do. If you got tons of toys everywhere, how is the dog supposed to know what you bought for them to chew on and what they're not supposed to chew on? They can't tell the difference between your stuff and their stuff. So we want to make sure we don't have tons of things all over the place. A really simple strategy is to have 1 or 2 designated chew toys, and those are toys that are meant to be chewed on. Specific bones, I'm a big fan of the Indestructibone. I have a discount code that I'll share with you down below so that you can get a discount on what is my hands down favorite chew toy. Those should be in the dog's crate with them, only in the crate with them for a while. That's how the dog learns they can chew on that because it's in there with them when they're alone. When they're out loose, nothing. They shouldn't have anything around them because they're interacting with you. And if they do decide to interact with something, you can quickly go over and correct them and let them know, you don't put anything in your mouth. Then over time, when they get to the point where they're not putting anything in their mouth when they're loose, you go into their crate, you take that bone that they've been chewing on, you put it out with them, They might be a little hesitant at first. Then when they put it in their mouth and you don't do anything, it becomes quickly clear that that is what they can chew on. So confinement, number one, stop letting the dog loose unsupervised. Number two, make sure there aren't tons of toys everywhere because that can be confusing. Now, number three, what's the dog's daily routine look like? Because when a dog is chewing a lot, what that tells me is that dog is starving for more mental stimulation. That doesn't mean running around the yard loose. That means training. Training. How many times a day are you training? Are you training at all? What does your training look like? Training is more than just having control over your dog. It's providing mental fulfillment via problem-solving activities. What are those problem-solving activities? Well, they're the obedience commands that you're training them. The dog should only be eating during training, so that becomes very motivating for the dog to solve those problems that you've responsibly and appropriately created for the training scenario. Guess what that does? It makes a dog happy. It also takes away all the energy that's fueling all the destructive behavior. All right? So that's enough about the chewing. Here's the bonus that you weren't expecting. You mentioned that you take the dog to a dog park twice a day. Don't ever take your dog to a dog park again. Ever. There are so many reasons why dog parks are one of the worst places you could ever take a dog. I'll put a link below to an article I wrote on it. I'll give you the summary right now. Number one, hygiene. They're filthy, filthy places. Would you let your 6-year-old lick the stripper pole? I hope not. But what do you think the dog is doing? They're walking in an area that is non-stop being used as a toilet bowl. We don't know what type of bacteria, viruses, parasites are all over there. It's a health risk. Why do it? Second, well, why are you going there anyway? To provide exercise for the dog? Well, take that time that you're letting them run around at the dog park and train. Have fun with your dog. Teach your dog that you're the coolest thing in the world, not a bunch of other dogs. Think about it. All right, so we got the chewing problem addressed. You're going to confine the dog when the dog isn't being supervised so that you're not setting them up to fail. You're going to teach them what they can put in their mouth and what they can't put in their mouth. And you're going to start providing much more mental fulfillment via several small training sessions a day. And you're going to find that time because you're not going to go to a dog park anymore and set your dog up for all kinds of unpleasant, healthy, and behavioral situations and experiences. And instead, you're going to spend that time building clear communication with them through training and helping them out. All right, again, Kristen, thank you for asking your question. There is a massive opportunity here for you to experience tons of growth in your relationship with your dog through enhancing your communication, setting them up for success, and overall making them much more aware of your expectations, which is just going to result in happiness and balance on their part, less frustration on yours, and an overall better relationship. As always, guys, Instagram, go follow me there. Subscribe, like, comment. Drop some comments below. Let's get this YouTube thing going. I'm trying. Second time in like a week I've made a video. I hope to have a lot more. And as always, whenever you're listening to me or anybody else, if you want to process the information that's being given to you, the first thing you got to do is drop your ego before you pick up that leash. Take care.